rail journeys, making the journey part of the adventure.
Conservative governments are known for their prudence with public money, for being pro-business, and for rolling back the state. Not this one. I don't complain that public borrowing has soared during the COVID pandemic, but I do object to the appalling waste of taxpayers' money. We hear that the government has paid more than 10 times the normal price for PPE. It's now pouring more money into track and trace than into the police and fire services combined, with very little to show by way of success. The very expensive mass testing of citizens in Liverpool, supposedly a model for future programmes in other cities, has been undertaken without an evaluation. As for being pro-business, the government seems determined to destroy the hospitality and travel sectors of the economy. Restaurants and pubs will be restricted to takeaway sales in Tier 3, and in Tier 2, you're not allowed to eat and drink inside a pub or restaurant with those who are not from your household. Those two tiers cover all but 700,000 of England's population. The evidence for closing restaurants, but not shops or gyms or hairdressers, is unavailable. The government has at last announced that travellers returning to the UK will be able to reduce their quarantine to 6 days if they take tests after their arrival. Why couldn't that have been instituted months ago? Why could we not do as they do, for example, in Spain, accept travellers without quarantine who have tested negative in the 72 hours before their journey? The public sector has not, on the whole, performed well during the pandemic. The buying of PPE, the tracing and tracking, and the debacle in the care homes have been truly shocking. The forecasts produced by SAGE, on which restrictive measures have been based, have been found to be badly and obviously flawed. Yet the government, since the departure of Dominic Cummings, has expressed no great interest in reforming the civil service and the public agencies. The epidemic has rewarded politicians and public servants who've kept their jobs and pay, while unemployment in the private sector is set to soar. 3 million self-employed people have received no government help because the government lacks the wit to work out how to do so. Meanwhile, billions paid out to other laid-off workers have been defrauded. I cannot see how the government will ever in future convince the public of the case for controlling public spending and borrowing, and that doesn't augur well for the Conservatives. British society has been subsidised, welfarised and infantilised by the pandemic. To make matters worse, in a manner that would make Joseph Stalin proud, the government has announced a 10-year plan for banning diesel and petrol cars, with no understanding that it must be the private sector and innovation that achieve such massive changes. It remains to be seen whether, when the deal is done with the European Union, the British people think that Boris Johnson got Brexit done or not. The Chancellor this week was talking of spending money in the north of England to level up and to bolster the former Red Wall parliamentary constituencies. Again, I have to doubt how value for money is to be secured or judged. I suspect that the North will be unimpressed. Many of those who voted Conservative last time might prefer to see some commitment from the government to conservative thinking. In the last week, some of us, at least, solemnly observed the 30th anniversary of the 22nd of November 1990, the day on which Margaret Thatcher left office as Prime Minister after 11 consecutive years in Downing Street.